We're going to go ahead and get started. Something that I want you to be aware of is that I am recording this class, and as recording the class, when the class is over, if you would like, I can email you a copy of the class that you just attended, okay? So I will be checking the chat log as well, so that if you have questions as we're going, please just type them right into the chat, and we'll answer your questions as we go. Okay, so this is the DARCI Marketing class. The DARCI Marketing class, we call it both DARCI and Marketing because we're going to focus on DARCI, and then we're going to talk about manual marketing. Now, even though DARCI does some very important marketing features, manual marketing is also an important part of the software. So we do cover both in this class. So the first thing we're going to talk about, though, are the 5 main jobs that DARCI has. So the first thing we need to do, though, in order to get her to do those 5 jobs, is to hire DARCI. In order to hire DARCI, we click on the DARCI button. In this case, I've got it here in the middle. Yours might be on the far end. Doesn't matter where it is. You're going to click on the DARCI button, and that's going to bring up the Setup DARCI window. This is how we hire DARCI. First thing we need to do is actually set her up, and we do that by clicking on this button that says Set Up Account. By clicking on that, we get to the Setup DARCI Account Information window. Now, in this window, it may look a little confusing, but don't worry, it's really very simple. We're going to go over each field with you very quickly. First is the business name. You're going to type in the name of your business right here. Then your address, city, state, zip code, and telephone number. Then comes the business website address. Make sure that you don't just put in, like in my case, my website is prosolutionssoftware.com. But don't just put in prosolutionssoftware.com. You would put in www. And then your website if it requires a www. If it's only HTTP, then put that in. But make sure that that's included so that it becomes a live link. Next is the business email address. Now, this one I need you to understand. What you're going to be putting here is usually not the owner's email address. What you're usually putting in the business email address is an info address or perhaps a manager's address. The reason for that is because every time DARCI emails something to one of your customers, it doesn't matter who it is, and it doesn't matter what the content is, every time that DARCI emails a message to your customers, if they reply, it needs to go somewhere. So it will be forwarded to whatever email address you have put in the business email address field. Next, we have the owner's email address and the owner's email address too. You can just put in one, or you could put in 2. Perhaps you have 2 owners. Perhaps you've got an owner with a home address and a work address and they'd like them both in. It doesn't matter. The important thing to note, though, is that you would only put owner's email addresses in these fields. And the reason for that is because there are certain things that DARCI considers owner's eyes only. And when we get into the notification part of her jobs, you'll see what I'm talking about. But there are certain things that she believes are owner's eyes only, and so you would have the owner's addresses where it says owner's email or owner's email address too. Next, upload logo. This is really important, and I tell you this because when you send out an email, your customers are going to be shown something that you're representing yourself with. And if it doesn't look nice, that is a bad representation of your business. So it's really important that every email that goes out has your logo on it. So how do we do that? We simply press this button that says Upload Logo, and then we can upload a logo. Now, it's important to note a couple of things here. The logo must be 500K or smaller. And, excuse me, if you are using an installed version of the software, you can upload a file that is a GIF, a JPEG, a TXT, or a PNG. If, however, you are using the cloud version of the software, you can only upload a JPG. Okay? Once again, cloud can only use JPG, whereas installed can use GIF, JPEG, TXT, or PNG. Okay? Finally, we'll click the Browse button so that you can find your logo on your computer. Find your logo, and after you've selected it, press Upload. That will then upload your logo, and it will show up here letting you know that your upload has been done successfully. Then you can close, and now everything that DARCI sends out will have your logo on it. Something to remember, Pro Solution Software has a graphic arts department that is at your disposal at no charge. So if you need help with your logo, or if you don't like the way it's shaped according to the emails that go out, maybe it's low res or something like that, and you want it to be high resolution. Whatever it may be, our graphic arts department can help you with that. If you have a valid logo somewhere on your computer, you're going to upload it. Next, we have text account username and text account password. You do not have to use texting with DARCI. DARCI can do everything that she can do via text, she can do via email as well. In fact, she can do quite a bit more via email than she can do with text. However, if some of the features that you want to take advantage of that allow for text, you want to do it as text, you must have a text account username and password. You can get those by sending an email to rates, R-A-T-E-S, at prosolutionssoftware.com and requesting your text account username and password. If you are an installed version of the software, you will be purchasing your username and password. If, however, you are a cloud user, then you get a certain amount of texts for free. Not very many, but you do get them. And so, it depends on what you're actually using it for. So it may very well be sufficient. If you are processing credit cards through our preferred provider, whether you are installed or cloud, you get an additional set of free texts. But if you are not processing through our preferred provider and you are an installed version of the software, you will be purchasing text. I believe it is $30 per 1,000 texts. And that is per month. It does not roll over. So if you only used 200 one month, you wouldn't have 800 the next month. You would be needing to get another 1,000. So because it is sold in blocks of 1,000. Now, if you used up all 1,000, you can get another block of 1,000 for $20, I believe. Again, your salesperson will be able to help you with that, and so can the people over at rates at prosolutionssoftware.com when you request your text account username and password if you decide to go with texting. Next, on the right-hand side, we have your social networking sites like Google+, Yelp, CitySearch, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, and Instagram. Right now, we might be adding more in the future, I'm sure we will, but right now, those are the main ones used by small business, and so that's what we're focusing on. All you need to do is go to your Google+ site if you have one, and if you have one, copy the URL and paste it right into this field. Go to your business's Facebook, copy the URL and paste it right into this field. Make sure that you paste them into the proper fields. The Facebook URL must go into the Facebook field. The Google+ URL must go into the Google+ field, etc. So if you've got a Yelp page, put that in, CitySearch, put that in, etc. All the way down to Instagram. Any that you don't have, simply leave blank. When DARCI sends an email out, she will not only include your logo, she will also include shortcut icons to all of the things that you have placed URLs into. So then your customers will have a quick and easy way to visit your Facebook or your Twitter, your Instagram, your Google+, etc. So those are also important features. Not only does it make the email look nice, but of course they're usable. Don't worry about online gift cards, scheduling, or retail. They are not part of this class, and we're actually going to be removing those from this screen because they're not part of DARCI. They are now part of the online store, which is another class entirely. So we're going to go ahead and put that information in and then press save. After saving, we can exit. By the way, don't worry about how quickly I'm speaking. Don't forget, not only am I recording this so that I can email it to you after the class, but more importantly, feel free to interrupt me with your questions simply by typing them into the chat log. So once we have saved those things that we have put in under Setup Account and exited, we have hired DARCI. Now, if you are using an installed version of DARCI, it is important, an installed version of the software, it is important that you press the Run DARCI button after you have set up her account. If you are using the cloud version of the software, that button will not be there because DARCI is always running 24/7. You can't turn her off because you don't have to worry about shutting off the computer. If you are using an installed version of the software and you turn off your computer, when you bring your software back up, it is imperative that you go back into DARCI and run DARCI again, because DARCI will only run if you have in fact selected her to run. So if you shut off the computer, DARCI's not running. And when you bring her back up, you need to press that button. Remember, if you're using the cloud, you don't have to worry about that because your software is not actually running on your computer, it's running in the cloud. You're just accessing it. Next, we're going to talk about the 5 jobs that DARCI has. And those 5 jobs are the confirmations, campaigns, notifications, come again, and buy again. Those are the 5 jobs. So first, we're going to talk about confirmations. So we're going to click on email confirmations. These are your appointment reminders and confirmations. Now, it's not just a reminder. It doesn't just remind your customer about their appointment that they have with you. It also has a big blue button on it that says, click here to confirm your appointment. And if your customer presses that button, it will, in fact, mark the appointment confirmed right on the appointment book. Nothing you need to do to make that happen, and it will say at what time and at what date that was confirmed by your customer. Now, the message, subject line, write whatever you'd like. We recommend that you use variables. Variables allow and that will give you a list of the variables and how to put them in. They must be put in exactly the way you see them. So open caret, lowercase service, closed caret to insert the service name. Open caret, lowercase OP, closed caret to insert the operator name. Open caret, capital C, capital F, closed caret to insert the client's first name. Okay? So those are the variables so that you can insert them directly into the message. Everyone's will then be completely unique. And of course, it's getting its information from your appointment book and client file. So it will have their appointment information on it, dates, times, things like that, depending whether or not you want it to. Now, after you have written the message that you want, you get to choose how many messages you want to send. You can choose up to 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I said 2, which is what I've done, I have the ability to put in 2 different time frames. My first one, I've said I want this message to go out 2 days before my customer's appointment. And the second one, I've said I want my customer to receive this message 1 day before their appointment. So they're going to get 2 messages if they ignored the first one. However, if when the first message went out to them and they confirmed their appointment, it will not send out the second message. If they did not confirm their appointment, it will send out the second message. Once you've written what you want in the subject and the greeting, and you've selected how many messages you want to go out and when they're going to go out, check the box that says active, and then press accept. The template is saved, and now you can exit. Every day DARCI will run, and every day DARCI will check your appointment book, and every day she will see who has an appointment day after tomorrow, or 3 days from now, or 4 days from now, whatever you've set it up for. And she will send out the appropriate message to that customer with the ability for that customer to confirm the appointment. She does exactly the same thing via text. The difference here is that there's no artwork. So your logo is not included, your social networking icons are not included, and there is no big blue button that says click here to confirm. Instead, you have a field that you would include that says reply Y to confirm. If your customer receives your message, reminder for Sally, Sally, your appointment with Jane is on June 16th at 11 a.m., reply Y to confirm. If they in fact hit Y and send, then it will mark it confirmed right on your appointment book, just as if they had hit that big blue button. Next, just like before, everything else remains the same. How many texts are going to go out, how many days in advance, and once you're satisfied, check active and accept. That's text confirmations. Next, we're going to talk about automated marketing campaigns. So we're going to click on email campaigns here. There are over 20 to choose from. So I've got everything from anniversaries all the way to Valentine's Day, everything in between. So you have things like Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, Easter, spring. You may even create your own custom promotions that you can create your own date for. So there's all sorts of different things to choose from. So let's start with birthday. So I selected birthday, and now again I get to choose how many campaigns I'm going to run, 1, 2, 3, or 4. I select 4. That's what I selected. You select whatever you'd like. If I had selected only one, notice there's only one message to send, but by selecting 4, I now have 4 messages that I can send. After I've said how many messages I want to send, I'm going to say when they're going to be sent out. So I can choose from 0 to 30 days and anything in between. I said I want my first message to go out 30 days before their birthday. My second message I want to go out 2 weeks before their birthday. Third message, 7 days before their birthday. And the fourth message, I said I wanted to go out on their birthday. That's what the 0 means, on the date. If it was a 1, it would go out the day before their birthday. Now you might say, well, how does it know what their birthday is? Well, of course, in the client file, you have hopefully been collecting their date of birth. If so, then you're going to be able to use this effectively. Now, once you have selected when they're going to go out, you get to select what goes out. So the one that's going to go out 30 days before, I click on first message, and now I get to write my subject, Happy Birthday, Sally, and then I can choose a font size, and throughout the email, I can even change words to bold or underline them or italicize them, change the color, or even add URLs. These are hyperlinks right into the body of your message. Once I have written the subject and the body of my message, then I get to choose from 8 different pieces of artwork that Pro Solutions has already created for you. And you can see what they are just by clicking one of these 8 buttons. Don't worry about this 9th button off to the right. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. First, the 8 buttons. If I click here, I'll see the image. And if I click on the image, I'll see a bigger version of it so I can see what my customers will be getting. And I can go through all 8 images. Maybe I like what I see when I click on one of them. I say, maybe I want to go with this one. But what if you go through all 8 images and you don't like any of them? That's okay, because you can actually upload your own custom image. We can supply you with the specifications so that it fits the same area that something like this fits, or we can even help you make it. Again, our graphic arts department is at your disposal at no additional charge. If you go with your own custom image, then the 9th button is available and you are sending out a custom image. Once you're satisfied with what it is you've got here, you press Save Template and then OK. Now you can exit. You're done with your first message. So now I go to the second message. Happy birthday, Sally. Sally, your birthday's only 2 weeks away. Let us pamper you on it, et cetera, et cetera. Notice I'm using variables in this one as well, just like I did for my appointment confirmations. These variables may be a little bit different, though. So pay attention to the variables that are listed here at the bottom. These are the only variables you can use in the custom campaigns, the automated campaigns. So again, Sally, your birthday's only 2 weeks away. Let us pamper you, blah, 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 blah. I said 2 weeks away because I know it's going out 14 days before her date of birth. Everything else is precisely the same. There is something else, though, that I want to make you aware of that I didn't mention when we went over the very first one that was going out 30 days before. And that's this one, Send Test Email. After you have created your message, then send yourself a test email. Make sure it looks good. Maybe the font you chose isn't a very good font for the message itself. Maybe your logo doesn't look right, or maybe you forgot to install the logo and you didn't even remember it until you sent yourself a test email. The point is, send the test email to yourself so that you will see what your customers will be receiving. So the look and feel of it. Once you're satisfied with it, then simply press Save Template and exit. And do that for all 4 or 1 or 2 or 3, however many messages you've selected. So that would just be for birthday. Now, most of these are the same, like Valentine's Day. They work just like birthday. Everything is the same. Choose how many campaigns, when they're going to go out, what the message is, and choose the artwork after you've created your message. However, of the more than 20 different ones that you can choose from, 3 of them are different because all of these go out before the date. So these are going out before Valentine's Day. They go out before the birthday, before the anniversary, before Mother's Day. However, there are 3 that don't, that go out after. One of those is follow-up. So you say, well, if it's going out after the date, what is the date? It's the date of your customer's last transaction. So if they select follow-up, if you select follow-up, and then the number of campaigns. Now, I said 1, and 1 day from. What that means is that this message is going to go out to everybody who visited me yesterday. That allows me to send them promotions. So I can click on the message and say something like, thank you, Sally. Sally, thank you so much for visiting us yesterday. We hope everything went great for you and look forward to seeing you again, blah, 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 blah. Again, whatever your message is, but remember now, this is going out after they have visited you, which is why it could be something like a thank you message. And once again, you can choose from the different imagery that we've created for you, or you can upload your own custom artwork, whatever it is you'd like. Okay? Again, send yourself a test email. You're satisfied with it. Save your template and exit. Once you have set up however many automated marketing campaigns you'd like, then, and don't forget to be sure to check active. If you don't check active, even if you've set it up, it's not going to go out. So be sure you check active, save the whole thing, and exit. Once you've done that, we can move on to job number 3. So now we've talked about appointment confirmations and we've talked about automated marketing campaigns. Job number 3, set up notifications. Click. All of these are notifications. Most of them are what we call suspicious activity notifications. And the suspicious ones are the ones that are for your boss's eyes only. This is what I was talking about when I said put in the owner's email address. So I checked when a cash payment is voided. What that means is that if somebody voids a cash payment at the point of sale, the owner will be instantly notified. When a price is modified at the point of sale, when rewards points are adjusted, when a transaction is modified, any of these that I've checked, the owner is going to be notified of any of the ones that we consider suspicious activities. However, there are a few of them that aren't. And that's, for instance, this one, email client when booked, unbooked, or rescheduled. If that's checked, when you book an appointment, unbook an appointment, or reschedule an appointment, your customer can receive an instant email letting them know that that has been done. A little warning about that. We did have a customer contact us one time to say, oh my gosh, there's something wrong with DARCI. She sent 40 emails out to one customer today and they're very upset. So we had to look into it to find out what was going on. After a little bit of research, we discovered DARCI was working perfectly fine. What had happened was they had checked this box and they had hired a new person at the front desk. And they taught that person how to book, unbook, and reschedule appointments. And that person practiced. And they practiced on a live client. So if you are going to activate that one, make sure that your employees understand how it works so that they're not practicing on a live client. Instead, they can practice on themselves or on a miscellaneous or something like that, okay? All right, moving on. We also have some what we call end-of-day reports, like this one, email tomorrow's schedule to the operator. Every night, DARCI can email your staff their schedule for the following day, if that's checked, and if you, in their employee files, have said they can receive that. Also, email closing report to the boss. Maybe the owner is not the one that closes the drawer at each night. Maybe the salon or spa closes at 7 and the owner leaves at 5, so it's always an employee closing up. Well, after the employee closes, turns out the lights, closes the door and walks out, maybe a half hour later or so, then DARCI will email the boss that says, hey boss, here are tonight's closing numbers. End of day report as well can be sent to the boss every night. So different things that you can choose, whatever is important to you. And then after you've chosen what is important to you, simply press save. Your notifications are set up, and that is job 3. Now we're talking about jobs 4 and 5, the service come again and the retail buy again. Let's start with the buy again. How does it work? In inventory, you can have somebody walk through your door and purchase a product and leave and never purchase that product again. Well, we don't want that. We want to know approximately how long that product should last. And then we want to reach out to the customer to make sure that they refill. So I've already done one here. Notice there's a button here that says buy again. If I click this, I get a subject line and a body line and a drop-down menu from 1 to 52 weeks. So how does it work? I'm going to put up a product that I've already done it for. Here's my Justin All-in-One shampoo. And my subject says, your Justin All-in-One shampoo is running low. And my body says, if you've been using the shampoo like we told you, then you should notice that you're either out or running low. Please print this email out and bring it in with you for 5% off your next purchase within 30 days. That's what I've created. Again, you get to write whatever you want. And don't forget, this will have your logo and social networking icons on it. So it's a good-looking email that goes out to your customers. Then I choose from 1 to 52 weeks. Well, let's pretend that this was a 20-ounce bottle. And let's pretend that this 20-ounce bottle, you told the customer that they should be using 2 ounces of it every other day. Well, if that's the case, then in about 3 weeks, it should be empty. So I've set it for 5 weeks. That gives my customer an opportunity to run out and find time to come in to see me to buy it again. But if the whole 5 weeks have gone by and it should have been empty after 3 weeks, then they can receive this message. Again, as long as they allow you to send them promotions. Now you might say, well, how can they tell me whether or not they want promotions? In the client file, it says email promos, text promos, confirmation email, confirmation text, etc. So if they want to receive their appointment reminders and confirmations via email, this must be blue, not gray. If they allow you to send them promos for their birthdays or for Valentine's Day or things like that, then this must be checked blue rather than gray. If it's gray, they can't get the email. Okay, we'll save that and close. Let's go back into DARCI. Okay. So that is the retail buy again feature that we just discussed. The next we're going to talk about is the service come again. It works very similarly to the retail buy again. You know what? There was something important about the retail buy again I forgot to mention. So let me mention that now. DARCI's not dumb. If somebody comes in within those 5 weeks for the Justin All-in-One shampoo and they buy it again, of course she's not going to send the email out unless they actually miss 5 weeks. So if they came in within that time, she won't send it out, obviously. However, if they buy something in the same category, she will reset the clock for you, okay? So maybe they bought a 20-ounce bottle and they liked it so much that they came in and bought a 30-ounce bottle. Well, if they bought the 30-ounce bottle, you don't want to tell them that their 20-ounce bottle is running low or that they're out if just last week they bought the 30-ounce bottle, okay? So it will reset the clock if they buy something in the same category. Now, we're going to talk about the come again feature. The come again feature is based on your services. Just like the buy again, you can set a time frame on it. So I have a massage, for instance, and I've got a physical therapy 60. So I can go here to DARCI, and I can set up, perhaps I said if somebody gets a physical therapy massage, they should be repeating it weekly. So I can maybe set this up for 3 weeks, letting me know that they've really missed their cycle. And then my message, don't neglect your physical therapy. I know that a busy schedule can get in the way of your muscles' health. Don't let it. We see you've missed your last therapy cycle. Call today to schedule. So if they got this physical therapy 60 and a whole 3 weeks have gone by and they have not returned to get it again, they can get this email. However, once again, DARCI's not dumb. Even if they've missed 3 weeks, if they have a future appointment for that service, they will not get this email, okay? All right, moving on. So far, you've had no questions, is that right? I mean, I'm checking the chat log, no questions at all. Okay, moving on then. Those are the 5 main jobs of DARCI. Once we have assigned her 5 jobs, then what we're going to do is we need to tell her which of those jobs we actually want her to perform. Maybe we don't want to use the buy again, so uncheck it. Maybe we don't want to use the come again, uncheck. Maybe we're not going to be doing any of the end of day functions, uncheck. Maybe we're not doing confirmations and campaigns. I said we're going to do them all, so I've got them all checked. Then, what time is she going to do it? And you have the option of doing it from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. If you are using an installed version of the software, we highly recommend that the confirmations and campaigns, the come again and the buy again, be set for at least a half hour after you open your doors. Maybe there was a storm the night before, and when you walked through the door that morning, all of your computers were off because you lost power. Now the power's back up, you turn everything on, great, and you've got to run DARCI again. But if you had DARCI set to run at 8:30 in the morning, and you didn't walk through the door until 9, then DARCI's not going to do her job that day. So it's important to remember that you want it set for at least a half hour after you normally open your door. For the confirmations and campaigns, come again and buy again. It doesn't have to be exactly a half hour. If you open at 9, 9:30 is great, but so is 10 or 10:30 or 11 or 12. Any time between 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. you can choose. But remember, for those three, at least a half hour after you open your doors if you're using an installed version. If you're using the cloud version, it really doesn't matter. DARCI is running 24/7, and even if you lost power, she's still going to do her job. Because remember, she's not running on your computer, she's running in the cloud. Next is the end of day functions. The end of day functions we recommend that you set for at least a half hour after you close. And what do I mean by close? I mean you've turned out the lights, locked the door, and went home. And the reason I say that is because some people say, well, we don't take any appointments after 6 p.m., so I'm going to mark this for 6 p.m. Well, okay, great, but maybe you're finishing up with people, or maybe everyone has left, but you haven't closed your drawer yet. You shouldn't do it at exactly that moment. So the software cannot send the boss the closing report, or even send your clients, not your clients, excuse me, or send your staff the schedule for the next day if you're still taking appointments. So again, a half hour after you have turned out the lights and locked the door behind you, that's when she should be set to run. So if you turn out the lights and walk out the door at 6 p.m. each night, then she should be set to run for 6:30 for the end of day functions. If you do it at 7, then 7:30 or 8 or 8:30. If you do it at 8, at 8:30 or 9 or 9:30, whatever it may be. And that night, the boss is at home having dinner, their smartphone buzzes, they see they've got an email from DARCI, they click on it, hi boss, here are tonight's closing numbers, okay? That is how to tell her what to do and when to do it. Once we have set up however many of the 5 jobs we want her to do, and no, you do not have to set up all 5, but once you have set up however many of them you want her to do, and you have checked the boxes that you want her to perform, and you have assigned times, you're good to go. All you have to do now is accept the whole thing and exit. DARCI is running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you're installed, she will keep running unless you shut off your computer or for whatever reason turn off DARCI. If you are cloud, you never have to think about her again, unless you want to go in and make changes to any of your campaigns or something like that, or your times or whatever it may be. Okay, that's DARCI. Are there any questions at all on DARCI before I continue? No questions. Okay. And, if I say no questions and you're typing, feel free to finish your question. That's fine. Moving on, I'm going now to talk about manual marketing. Now, there's 2 different places to get to manual marketing. You can do it right through DARCI and click on the button that says Create a List. If you're using an older version of the software, that button isn't going to be there, and that's fine because there's another place to do it too. It's in Reports. Click on Reports, go to Marketing, and Create a List. Now I can generate any list I want, and I can make it as customized as I'd like. So maybe I just want a list of all of my women. So I just uncheck male, and I give it a name, like all females. And then I press Create List, and it will go through all 22,000 of my customers, or however many customers you have, and it will pull out every one of them that is marked as a female, and your list will have been created. These lists, depending on how much information you're pulling and how many clients you have, may take just a couple of seconds to run. This one is already done. It just took less than 20 seconds. However, they can also take many minutes. It might be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and that can depend on, as I said, the information you're gathering as well as the number of customers you actually have. So I just created a list of every one of my females, and I called it all females. I can now go to Blast, and I can then find it. So there it is, there's my all females list, and I can decide to send an email or a text message to everybody on that list. And I can create my emails and my text messages that I want to send out. And after I've created them, they'll be listed for me to choose from. And I've made a bunch of them already. Okay, now, I did tell you that you could make it very, very customized. I just showed you something really simple, like gathering a list of all females. But what if you said, I want a list of all females who have red hair and oily skin and ride motorcycles? Well, you can do that too. because you have created what are called tracking items. Everything you see under occupation is something that you can create. So how do we do that? I go to Setup, Configuration, Tracking, and then I can add tracking names. If you've never done this before, these are all blank white boxes with no information in them whatsoever. You get to put in what you want. So I could type in color, for instance, if I was doing hair. And then tracking items, I can then type in something like red, enter, blonde, enter, brunette, enter. Whatever I want. Silver fox, enter. Then I could go down to my next one, hair length, medium, enter, long, enter, short, enter. Skin type, oily, enter, dry, enter, acne, enter, etc., etc., etc. I can even go crazy and say motorcycle, yes or no. Do they ride a motorcycle? Yes, enter, no, enter. Why is that important? Because then in the client file, let me grab a client that I have never used before. I'll go with Elizabeth Tan here, and I'll go to tracking. So now I can say, because I created those, that Elizabeth has black hair, and that it's medium, and she gets perms, and she has oily skin, and she rides a motorcycle, and she is Asian, and she has tattoos. And I can even choose her age because I've created that. And other things that I can create, like local business and farmers market. Now you might look at those and say, what are those? Why on earth would you put those in? Because you can put in anything, as I said, just like the motorcycle. And each one of these is an example that a customer has come to us with. We had a customer that said, how can I, and I'm serious about the motorcycle one. We have a customer out in Montana, their little town has a big motorcycle gathering 1 week every August. And they want to be able to market to the people who ride motorcycles. They're a salon and spa. And so a week before, they send out a blast email to all of their riders that says something like, hey, if you're coming into town for the big motorcycle event, come on in on your bike and we will give you a lower back massage for 50% off. And we'll, do your hair and give you a facial, etc., because you look terrible after a day on the bike, or whatever it may be. They wanted to be able to do things like that, and they can, now that they understand tracking. We had one that said, you know what, right down the street from us every week, every week, 1 day a week is a farmer's market. And sometimes people visit the farmer's market and visit us. Sometimes they visit us first, then they go to the farmer's market. Sometimes they go to the farmer's market, then they visit us. And so we want to be able to reach out to everybody who has visited us that goes to the farmer's market, so that we know when the farmer's market is about to happen, we can blast an email out to these people saying, hey, if you're visiting the farmer's market this week, come in with your receipt from the farmer's market and get 10% off all products, things like that. So you really can make it as customized as you can imagine. Then you can go crazy in your, let's go back to our reports here, go to marketing, create a list, and now I can say I just want my females who have red hair. You see a lot of crazy things that I put in here because when I teach classes, sometimes I write people's names to show them that you can put anything in. But I'm going to say I want just my redhead women who have medium length hair. And I could even say who ride motorcycles and visit the farmer's market. Again, a whole lot of things here that don't make sense simply because that's what I chose. Then I can give it a name, whatever I want. I could call it Farm Lady Moto or something like that, and then create my list. The more targeted the list, the better. Once you have created your list, remember you can blast. So you choose your list, like my all females one that I created, and then I can go to my setup and I can write whatever message I want. And it's not just a message. I can even upload an image, make it bold, underline, italics, change the color, insert URLs, so it can be a really nice email with your logo, your social networking icons, an additional image that you've uploaded, and that can get blasted out to just those people. And you get to use a handful of variables as well. So now I could do something like, hey, Sally, we know that you're visiting the farmer's market this week, or we know that you have visited the farmer's market before, and it's coming up tomorrow, or it's coming up day after tomorrow. Bring in your receipt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So whatever message you want to send, depending on the list that you've created. But because the subject might say something like, hey, Sally, farmer's market's coming up, this is targeted to her. Even though it might be going out to 500 people, each of them are going to get their own unique email. And because of that, it's targeted. Targeted emails have a significantly higher read rate, than blast or spam emails, okay? Something to remember. Now, you don't just have to use it for marketing. You can also do things like, hey, maybe Christian came up to you and said, hey, my 3 o'clock just canceled. Maybe it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and you don't get a lot of walk-in business for what Christian does. And maybe, when the phones ring, people are looking for appointments for tomorrow or next week, but not looking for 2 hours from now necessarily. So you say to yourself, wow, Christian's going to be sitting on his hands at 3 o'clock. Even if you charge for late cancellations or no-shows, he's still, he's going to be sitting on his hand during that time, and you don't want that. So maybe you go and say, you know what, I need to create a list, go to marketing, create a list, and say, I want a list of all of my women who like to see Christian. And then give it a name, like Christian's Ladies, Christian's Female Clients, or something like that, and create the list. Now, I've already done it, so I can go down here and go to my Christian's Clients and say I want to blast it. I've already created one, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. I've got my Christian's 3 o'clock that I created. So I give it a name and my subject. Sally, there is an opening with Christian today. I can choose my font and my font size. Again, I can dress it up any way I want. Maybe even upload a picture of Christian's smiling face and save my template. Then I can go to email. Because I've created it, I can now choose it. And there's my Christian's 3 o'clock. Send myself a test email to make sure it looks good. And once I'm satisfied with it, hit process. And everybody on that list will get that message. And hopefully the phone's ringing so that people got the message, the phone starts to ring, and somebody will take that deal that you're offering to fill his 3 o'clock slot. Another benefit of that is that if you do get that phone to ring, it's usually more than one person. And the other people who weren't the first ones and therefore couldn't get that 3 o'clock slot, you've got them on the phone. You know they wanted to see Christian. Perhaps you can book a future appointment for him with or without discount. And that is manual marketing. And that is DARCI. And that is our class. Would you like me to email you a copy of the class that you just took? Okay, let me see what I have here for your email address. Dermavita@hotmail.com. Is that where you'd like me to send it? Okay, then that is exactly where I will send it. You'll probably have it within the hour. And I want to thank you very much for attending the class today. I want you to remember that the people who know the most about the software are the people who are happiest with it. So again, I really do thank you for attending the class. Really, a special thank you to you, simply because there were a lot of people signed up for this class, and you're the only one that actually showed up. So thanks a lot, and have a wonderful day, and you can expect this email probably within the next hour or less. Have a great day. Bye-bye. I'm glad you thought it was helpful. Take care.